Alright guys, I'm here with LASBRA, Venenu, and BaRRaCCuDDa from the Renegades, doing a quick check-in with them. Stuff's already hit the fan. We are limping into the start of this interview already, so I have only the highest expectations for everything moving forward. So to start off, just to kind of get the vibe, I believe I have this correct. BaRRaCCuDDa, you're at your own spot, and the other four guys are in the house, correct?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
How's that been for you, BaRRaCCuDDa? Obviously, being away from the team a little bit. Do you think that affects the mental one way or another? How's it been staying busy in the quarantine?
Mental.
Yeah, I guess good for your mental.
It
Right?
is 100% better for me than it is for them.
How's staying busy during the quarantine and all that been for you? Obviously, it's been weird for all of us, but mental game in that capacity stays strong.
It's kind of Smite all day 24/7.
Sure.
And right now, since we're at the beginning of phase 2, I'm kind of energized. But if it continues to be this way, by the end, I might, get burnt out a little. If it's like
Right.
you're watching every SPL game, you're watching your SPL games back, and you're having team talks on top of scrimming, and it's just, you kind of don't have an escape
Sure.
when you're just this focused and this, I guess, dedicated to it.
Yeah, I feel that. It's tough. It's been kind of a weird start to the year, really for all of us. So I guess for you, LASBRA and Ven, maybe on the flip side of that coin, sort of the quarantine vibes in the house. How's it been having the whole Renegade squad there? Either of you can jump in if you have a good answer.
Overall, it's pretty good here. It's a bit sad though because of COVID. We can't really go to the gym. I mean, you can discuss if you can go to the gym or not, but we decided not to go to the gym.
Right.
And it's like, you can't really use your body or like lose energy and all that. But then we started going for walks with me and Solo. And I mean, Ben has dogs, right? So he's going for dog walks and all that. Going for the walks, we go for like 1 hour walks. That's been helping out a lot. Just instead of sitting at home all day.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Mike is in the gym blowing us all away, and we stay home. It's absurd. Sorry, I cut you off there.
Yeah. And then me and Solo, we started focusing a bit on our diet and stuff. So we've been cooking for 14 days now, every day, instead of ordering food and all that. So that's been helping out a lot too.
Ven, you haven't jumped on the cooking food train just yet?
I did it in the beginning of the year when I took a backseat here, and I'll be back sooner or later.
So I guess it's a question I always like to ask just because it's usually funny. I guess maybe that lends into it then, LASBRA. Does that mean you and SOT are the best cooks in the house, or are you the only people that are cooking? Whether or not it's good is another question.
I mean, Solo is not here to defend himself, but he's in the learning process of cooking, and he's been doing great. The best chef cook, I mean, it's hard to say because it's pretty simple, the food we make. We just try to make a bit of healthy food, like we fry some eggs, make some tuna salad or whatever. But I would say I'm probably I'm up there with probably Ven. I've seen what Ro doesn't cook, so I don't really know too much. But I've seen what Jake and Solo can do in the kitchen, and I'm not impressed.
You're not impressed? Yeah. So Jake, not the best cook. Ven, were you pointing at yourself as the best cook? Do you think that you hold that crown?
Yeah, I'll hold the crown for the house for sure. Easy.
All right, you're making dinner for everyone on the team. What are you whipping together?
Depends what they're feeling. Last time, when everybody was together, I had a pizza and I made like a cheese sticks as well, and it was like 10 out of 10. Everybody loved it. Easy clap. And we have Jake
Homemade cheese
that
sticks?
wakes
You're
up.
nuts.
Yeah, Jake, wakes up, makes some rice, and that's about it.
He makes rice, and he puts. I think he scrambles the eggs, and then he puts it on a piece of bread.
Yeah. You get your calories, you keep yourself going. However you get there, I guess, is up to you personally. BaRRaCCuDDa, kind of along that thread, though, I want to jump back to you, kind of continuing this thread in the house versus out of the house. Chemistry building and sort of lane building with Jake is something we always tend to return to you with, whether it's pregame interview, postgame interview. Have you noticed that, difficult at all as far as, different supports you've worked with in the past, maybe in the house with them, you're separate from Jake here. Does that really play a big role in this, do you think?
Not for me personally. I feel like I'm pretty easy to work with regardless of in person or not in person. And I mean, Jake is just a special dude all around. So it's
That's putting it lightly.
it's really enjoyable to work with him. Yeah. I mean, throughout my career, I've had Jeff like for 6 years, and then I had Snoopy for like a month or something, or like even a few weeks. So before that, like Jeff was easy to work with. Jake's Jake. He's easy to work with, but he's just got a special style about him. He's got a special way of communicating. He's, Jake's Jake.
Hey, and we love it. The 408 he'll make the big play, and sometimes he won't make the big play. It's the flip of the coin, I guess, on any given day. Kind of the final thoughts, I think, on housing and sort of the phase being the way it is. Sort of it is what it is. We're all kind of dealing with it in our own way. As a team, do you think? I mean, obviously there are differences, but are there any sort of concrete differences you can point to between playing on LAN in the studio, kind of across from the team you're playing against, versus playing online? Is there an energy difference, an intensity difference, or is it just you're playing ranked? What's kind of the mindset for you guys as a team, sort of playing online versus in the studio?
I personally, I can go first. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
For me personally, I think it's like a lot different, and it feels like less like you're going to work. You're kind of doing like scrimming in the same spot. You're playing SPL at the same spot. You're playing ranked at the same spot. You're streaming at the same time, like same spot. Like all of that is like one thing. Where if you can go to LAN, it's more different, and like you feel like you're going to work, and you get to communicate with the other team, and you also get to like if you're winning or like. You can see like the facial reactions and stuff, and can give you motivation and stuff like that. Like you just have like that advantage over them, and seeing like the other team cheering versus the other team losing. Like you have that presence and stuff like that. It's a little bit different. And when you're in the same room as everybody, like you can like it's kind of more like you're more focused. You're guaranteed like this is what I'm here for, and like this is what I have to do. And you can like say you lose, you can like instantly turn to your team and be like, okay, this is what we have to fix. Like what went wrong here, like small stuff, and like fix that. Versus like here, it's kind of like, like what went wrong. You can't really see everybody in person. It's kind of like a little bit different. So it's
Makes sense.
I pref to be at LAN. I pref to be like in front of people and stuff like that. Like it's more like it feels good to get like cheered on or like know that you're there for like that specific reason rather than being like stuck here. So
BaRRaCCuDDa, do you have thoughts on it?
Yeah, I agree to what Ven is saying for sure. And then like one more important factor is that it's good practice, it's experience, and we have a few players on the team that might need that. Like we have BaRRaCCuDDa and Ven, who's obviously one world's been in front of people, but Solo's played at stage 1, and I haven't played it at stage in front of people, but I mean I've played at LAN and got a bit of experience there, and Jake is without experience, and I feel like that's pretty important. So it's a bit sad to like not be able to get that experience. Especially like looking forward to Worlds.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, BaRRaCCuDDa, for you, you can't reach over and slug Jake on the arm or anything like that.
I feel like it'd be way better for me and Jake to play at LAN than online. I mean, I agree with everything they said. Where online just feels less at basically every point. It just feels less like competitive. Feels less, I don't know, just focused or driven. I guess I don't know. It's weird because like you try hard as you possibly can, but it's just different. It's like at LAN, when you're waking up earlier, when you're driving to the studio, playing at the studio, seeing the other team, it's just so much more real. The losses hurt way more at LAN, that's for sure. Online, you can kind of just, okay, I'm done. I get off my computer, I walk away, and I'm still at my house, like my safe space. At LAN, you lose and you're like, you can't escape it. You just look at your teammates. Everyone is just sitting there literally devastated or angry or sad or just going through all the emotions, and you physically are just relating to them going through their hardships. Or like on the other side, victory. I didn't see much of that last year, but victory, it feels so good. Even like winning a game on LAN, not the whole set, just winning a game feels so good. And it's just an explosion of emotions. And then whether, I don't know, like whether Worlds happens this year or doesn't happen or whatever happens with that, playing in front of a crowd is just the best feeling in the entire world.
Agreed.
There's no other comparison to playing in front of fans. You can't even explain it. Like, it's so amazing.
It's wild. It's wild. I got my first taste of that even just casting Paladins last year. It's a whole new world when you get up there on stage. So fingers crossed sort of for all that. I kind of want to rewind the clock though. Look back at phase 1 for you guys before we start to look at phase 2 and into the future. Venenu, if you've turned in your test, your phase 1 results for you guys compared to maybe hopes, expectations, realistic, vibes for the squad out of phase 1. How do you think you grade yourself at the end of phase 1, moving into phase 2?
Probably at the end of phase 1. I mean, we got a little unlucky with like the row SOT situation for
True.
the playoffs, or however you want to call it. So that's kind of unlucky. So I think like ending with SOT, I would give it like out of 10. I would say we were probably where we expected us to be. I don't know if different people had expectations, but I think Barry and I expected us to be right where we kind of ended up, where we're like having our growing things. I would say where we expected it, probably 8 to 9 out of 10, but probably to like expectations outside, probably I don't know, like 2 or 3 out of 10.
Sure.
And I think going forward, we're currently trying to find like our identity and like what we strive at and like this meta and like what works for us right now. And I think that's like a big growing piece for us. It's like, it's testing a lot. Like Jake is new, SOT is still like semi-new,
right?
And it's the adaptation and everything like that. Like that's a really big part. And I think we're kind of nailing it down, but it's still going to take us a little bit more time, I think. But I think we can get there. It's just we have to put in a lot more effort than maybe like other teams and stuff like that.
Well, I'm gonna bounce this off BaRRaCCuDDa as well, but maybe for LASBRA and Ven, Jake has been a big topic of conversation. He was an interesting pickup. He has this aggressive kind of in-your-face play style. So sort of outside of his play style, 3v3 obviously very important. You guys have a pretty strong 3v3. How have you seen Jake, grow as a player? His play style sort of to the side. How have you seen him take to the SPL stage and kind of grow and work with you guys in that 3v3?
Well, I assume it's not me, right? It's at them.
Could be anyone. Could be you, BaRRaCCuDDa, 3v3 as well. Whoever wants to jump in on the topic.
For me, for laning phase, we've always had really good synergy for whatever reason. And he's there's things where he'll be defensive about, and there's also things where he'll be open about. And normally, just our connection as players is always really strong for... It's weird because I went from Jeff, who is a very defensive Guardian-esque support, to Jake, where he's very in-your-face, holding W support. And I feel like I've, as a player, been able to mesh with both because both are so easy to work with. And I feel like Jake has just matured and gotten more team-oriented than individual-oriented, if that makes sense.
Right. Has that been a pretty strong test for you as well, shifting from one style of lane, for so long now to a different style?
It's honestly been really enjoyable because there are plays I've been going for this year that I never would have gone for before. Some good, some bad.
Right.
And I think it's going to sound bad, but careless is a more way to put it for my play style. Because before I would be very analytical and kind of do everything to dissect the situation, and now it's just we're attacking, and that's the play.
Sure.
And good or bad, that is what happens a lot of times in our 2v2, and then sometimes like last event will tell us that the jungler's coming over, and sometimes we'll just take the 2v3 and like try to let our individual skills shine. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. And it's just fun, I guess, playing with Jake, and like kind of adopting my playstyle over to him it's like a fun experiment every day.
Right. Well, I mean, we ask about it so much because it really is just fun to follow because it's such an interesting play style. It's in your face, rough around the edges, but exciting, kind of to your point. So, I mean, we ask about it a lot, but it's only a good thing, I think, because we do enjoy sort of watching you guys grow into it. LASBRA, I'm curious your thoughts on this one. Obviously, Phase 2, I guess a third longer than Phase 1. You play every team once more than you did in Phase 1. Do you think that's impactful at all? Do you think that makes things better or worse for you guys? What do you think about a phase that's, I guess, 4 weeks longer?
It's a long phase. I mean, I play Smite every day. I enjoy it. I enjoy putting time into it. So, I mean, honestly, I don't mind it that much. I'm a bit scared of, like, let's say you play all day, all the time without working out, without going to the gym or like walks, whatever, which I started doing now. And if you just sit there and play all day, I think there could be like a few players getting a bit burned out. And if you turn up to, which I would consider work, right? Because it's a work. If you turn up to work and you're not really 100% into it, I mean, you can start feeling that individually, but then the team will start feeling it and all that. So it's just important to like, even if we lose now and all that, to keep like our goal is worlds.
Of course.
It doesn't really matter too much if you're losing. It's a learning experience, right? And then if we end up like we lost, what, 3 sets and we won 1, and it can be a bit sad. Like obviously we want to win and all that. But even if we keep losing for a bit, like it's just important to focus on the big aspect, which is worlds and improving. And honestly, sometimes losing can be better than winning, but on the mental, most of the times it's probably worse as a team, because it's like, oh, I could have played this better, and then you're like looking at your teammates, we could have done that better and all that. But if you keep positive and all that, I think the long split not really gonna matter too much. Like it's fine, I think.
You know, actually, kind of to that point, Venenu, I'll go to you first here on this one. To that point, 4 out of your first 5 games, as of recording this one, your next one will be against Radiance. Don't know exactly when it's released, but 4 out of your first 5 games, with the exception of Obey, are going to be against the top half of the league, at least standings-wise. Is that something you think you guys took into account going into this phase? You knew that the first 4 were going to be, you know, Ghost, SSG, Radiant, Sanguine. I mean, it was going to be sort of tough going early on, or do you guys kind of look at it more one game at a time, let's worry about these guys, and not necessarily worry about the next 4 weeks or 5 weeks or whatever it is?
Yeah, we kind of go into one game at a time. I mean, we take every single set seriously, no matter what. Like, good team, bad team, it's all the same practice or prep and practice that goes into it and stuff like that. Definitely, you know, losing versus the top teams versus like losing against like bottom teams, it's still the same. Like, we're still super hard on ourselves. Like, we look back at every game and like what we could do better and everything like that. Yeah, definitely just serious all around though, for sure. I mean, we take practice seriously. We take,
of course,
all our prep seriously. We just got to like nail down like what we're losing to. And I think it's actually really good to, in my opinion, face the best teams early on, because you can look at those games and like, you know, 4 weeks, 5 weeks down the road, you can look back at those games and be like, look how bad we were then. And like, look at where we are now. And like, look, we won't make these mistakes anymore. We're making different mistakes. And you can like kind of like compare yourself to then. And when we face them again, we can like watch those games back, and like we grow from, I think, losing to the best teams faster than we would lose, or we would grow losing to the worst teams, and we'll be more hard on ourselves. And yeah, I think there's just like a whole growing experience from facing the best teams, and you know, I enjoy facing them first. So yeah.
BaRRa or Laz, any thoughts on that, or sort of just ditto what Venenu said?
For me, I just go into every set like we're gonna win, like regardless of team. And I don't like, I'm not a player that like looks at the schedule and like freaks out. Oh my god, I have to play like SSG and X, Y, or Z team. Like, I don't care about that stuff, because mentally, I try my hardest to go into every set knowing that we're gonna win, and knowing that we are better than them and we will show up. Like, that's just the mental state you have to have as a competitor, in my opinion.
Well, it showed. You guys have had some great games so far in this phase. Sorry, did I cut you off there, Les?
I think, I mean, I don't really mind it too much. I'm kind of on the same page with BaRRa and Ven, what they're saying, but it's also, I think there's like a bit of, I don't know what I would say, like if you look at the SSG sets and Ghost sets we had like last phase 1, it's like some of the games have been really close, and I feel like we've been like playing up to par, but usually our drafting into them has been not the best. And it kind of said that we don't get to show our full potential in most scenarios, and I mean, hopefully that will come at one point.
Right. I mean, the benefit of the longer phase is you get the revenge tour on the second half if you need it. All right, I'm gonna go to each of you on this one, and I imagine we'll have some strong opinions. Fan or not a fan of the current meta, specifically for your role? And this one might be easy. Who are the strongest gods / some of the strongest items in your role? BaRRaCCuDDa, I'll start with you first.
It depends on the day whether I'm a fan or not. Some days I feel like we can deal with like the Freya and the Olaron and the Jingwei and all the safe gods, keep it in there now as well. And then there's some days where like those gods are the most broken thing in the game and you can't deal with them and everyone's struggling them. I'm struggling in lane, we're struggling in team fights against them, and sometimes the meta and picking and banning can be really stale. It's like when a god is so good, you'll leave it through sometimes and see like if we can test this strategy versus it. And some days it goes good, some days it goes bad. And so in that regard, it's kind of stale, but I like playing the gods that are in the meta, so I like it for that reason. For items, I think Devouro's gloves and Hecate are probably the strongest for physical and magical ADCs. They're both... Those items are just insane. I don't think any other item... Yeah, I don't think any other item kind of like matches up to those because they're just core and they just feel so good to build. I think Devo's is a little weak, or weak in comparison to Hecate, because Hecate, you buy it and you're instantly strong. Devo's, you're like, okay, I have to rush this first, get the stacks online, and then I can finish boots after so I can box a person with Hecate. But even still, they'll still outbox me, so it's like, what am I, what am I supposed to do here? This doesn't feel great.
Frustrating, maybe a good way to word it, depending on picks and bans, whatever you get out of there. Venenu, I'll rotate over to you, mid lane. Fan or not a fan of the current mid lane meta in your role? Is it fun, not fun? And what are some items? There is some crossover though, I think, with the magical hunters. We started to see a little more of that as well in mid.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like a need of a change. It was kind of, and like in my opinion, it was getting a little bit stale, the same type of thing. So I valued any type of change that happened into the midseason. So I like this. I think it's good. It's fun. Definitely a lot of top characters right now. Kind of rotating out of mid. I think mid right now is pretty much. It's kind of like what the mid laner can play and what's in their god pool. I don't think there's like a top god. Like a default one would be like Olo or Persephone. I think both of them are top right now. But I think there's definitely like it's like what you can play, like what that mid player can play, and like how they can play with that with their team. And I think for items as well right now, it was like the double flat pen, the Divine Ruin, and the Magus or Spear Magus. And I think right now that's cycling out kind of. I think it's kind of all like mid lane's kind of all like jumbled on like what the role of that is right now. And like I think recently we saw like Twig and Tings both rush like BaRRaCCuDDa into a flat pen item. Like it's all kind of like cycling, and like the identity of the mid laner isn't like found right now, because you can play like a hunter mid and you try like Neath, for example, and you can like ult across the map and create pressure that way. But like it's all kind of like jumbled together, and it's kind of like what the goal of the team is, and it comes back to like the mid lane and like how you play or want that mid laner to play around that, I think.
Do you like that?
Yes,
do you think
sure.
that's something you sort of enjoy, not having a set in stone identity?
Yeah, I think it's more enjoyable, and it's always like you can always expect something like spicy to come out of the mid lane, since it's all kind of like what that person can play and like how everyone plays around that. I enjoyed that a lot for sure.
Fun to watch. LASBRA, will round out with you on that question. Fan or not a fan of the current jungle meta? Who are some of the strongest picks, and what are some item builds that you tend to use a lot?
I mean, the builds and guard is like a bit against each other, but I'll just start with the guard.
Sure.
I think Nemesis. I mean, I think it's the most banned guard for jungle, and I mean, it does really good into a lot of matchups, jungle matchups specifically. But also there's like a bit low CC overall when it comes to like the guards that is in the meta right now. So like her shield becomes a lot of value. She has like okay build path with crit, or you can just go like AA build with Aaron died, stone cutting, and all that stuff. Nemesis for sure. If you go to like ability based, I'll probably say like a Ravana. He's pretty good. He has his immunity. His ultimate is pretty good. Pretty good burst damage. Also does good into certain meta guards. Item wise, Nemesis doesn't really use these items, but I'll say Sledge and Heartseeker is probably the best items. But it's a bit weird, right?
Yeah, whatever team has the most sledges wins, right?
Yeah.
What was it? It was like an SEC game where a team had like 4 sledges or something absurd like that, and they just steamrolled the enemy team.
I think Ghost had that at one point as well with Mula in jungle and something in the jungle. It's very funny. But yeah, I would say Nemesis for runner probably. I mean, again, a lot of the jungle guards can be used right now. If you ask me last patch, I would say like the Golden Blade guards with whoever uses Golden Blade probably wins the game, right? But since Sledge is in the game and all that stuff, I mean, yeah, I'll say Sledge. I'll say Heartseeker first and then Sledge. Like in the guards who can use Heartseeker should build it, and then Sledge is just good for like ability based.
Sledge is good on 4 out of 5 members of your team, I guess, in this one. LASBRA, I'm going to box you out on this one. Venenu and BaRRaCCuDDa, what's the strongest role in the game right now, and why is it the jungle?
No, BaRRa can go first on this.
Because you can literally run lane to lane to lane and kill people. You can do the cheese gank to solo level 2 when they're level 1. That's really cool. Or you can just wrap behind mid if you have a decent mid laner and kill someone. Or you can go to the duo lane, which is just the feasting grounds for every jungler in the game. And even in SPL, like, it's so hard to stay alive to junglers because our lane is so long.
Right.
And we have to rush Devo Glove, so we don't have any movement speed. And it's all up to our support because we're too weak to walk in the jungle and ward ourselves. So if I get ganked, it's Jake's fault.
So, I mean, I say it jokingly, but do we do think that jungle is probably in the strongest spot right now?
Yeah, it'll be Rogue. OP items.
I think it's second. Well, sarcastically in ranked, yes. In SPL, I think it's second to support. I think support right now is the most influential role in the game. And if you watch, like, an example would be Ghost SSG.
Yep.
Where when Raffer had a bad game and PBM had a good game, it was over in 20 minutes. And when Raffer had a good game the next game, it lasted longer. And like, I don't know, support in my opinion is just 3 times more important than the closest role to support in terms of influence.
Venenu, ditto on that, or different thoughts?
For sure. Support OP.
Fair enough. LASBRA, I'll give you a chance to defend yourself. Actually, well, maybe it's not even defending yourself. You know, support was kind of the answer here between BaRRa and Ven. Do you think that stands true?
I mean, I think what BaRRa said, with like especially the early game, like jungle does have like a really huge impact with like the early game, like early gang solo and all that. But after level 5, I do agree, like support is what it really comes down to, because like a jungler. You can always kind of be around what you need to be around, but the support has to make like the biggest rotations, the biggest like impact. Like if you want to wait blue buff and he's in dual lane right now, like either he has to run from purple to blue or he has to go to blue, right, and be there in time. Whereas I'm already kind of in the jungle, I'm doing my speed, doing my blue, then going to that blue, for example. So it's like a bit easier, but the support has to be on point. With like, you as a jungler need to know what the support is doing in this meta, and especially also just looking at last season, like the supports could literally run the games. Looking at you, Jake. Just moving forward though. All right, we're gonna play. This is a collaborative one. I don't know why I thought of this. I just thought it would be kind of funny. If you not even just an SPL game, you're all 5 stacked into a queue. Everyone has to role swap. You cannot play your natural role. What does your team comp look like? Where does everyone play?
I think whoever got BaRRa off rolling, I think it's that team's confident. You know what I mean?
Do I get to pick my role?
You can. Look, I want you guys to put out the strongest, what you think the strongest team would be if everyone had to play a different role.
Me on Ganesh, support, Jake, ADC, Chernabog. I don't know where solo would go. Vin, I wouldn't want anywhere. Last, I feel like Last is probably the only player out of those three that could comfortably play each role. I feel like Solo thinks he's good at roles, and then Vin is just delusional when he thinks he's good at roles. Like, Vin off roll is just as bad as me.
I can off roll any role. That doesn't even matter.
We've got all right. So we've swapped BaRRA and Jake, and the other three are somewhere up in the air. Venenu, where would you rather play between jungle and solo? I guess if you had to fill in the last of those two slots, where do you think you would be strongest?
Yeah, I think it's put last and mid, solo and jungle, and then I will play in the solo lane and run it down. Because that role is so boring, dude. I could not sit there hitting someone for 12 stacks of my Warrior's Blessing. I would fall asleep. I'd just play Kumakarna. At least I'm playing the character,
LASBRA, you comfortable rotating the mid lane for a game? You think?
I'll play whatever role it takes. I got the communication, I got the mechanics, so I'll do it. But I also have my 5 roles that I would like to present to you guys. First off, I will start with. I'll do mid last. Okay, I'll put Solo in the jungle and hopefully just put him on 4 every game because he's insane on 4. He kind of knows what he's pretty good with what's valuable and when to invade, not to invade, and all that stuff. So him in the jungle. I will put BaRRA in mid because mechanics, position wise, pretty good. And then I would put
last year.
And then I put
okay.
I don't know if I would do me solo or Jake solo because Jake is he has pure aiming and all that stuff. So he's a lot of comfortable guards you could put in solo and also position wise and just being aggressive. So that probably fits him good. And then then that's me and Ven left if I put Jake solo. That means that support and AD carry is open and me and Ven can do both. I've seen Ven support. He has good comms when it comes to that. I also have pretty good comms. As I said before, when rotations and stuff, I'm in the jungle, I rotate a lot. I can probably go to support and go to blue buff. Oh, let's get blue buff right now. I'll go do that. So I'll put Ven at the carry, Ven BaRRA together in the back line. Easy dubs for us. I'll go support, try to be a bit frontline.
I think that's a free content piece now that I'm thinking about it. Force teams to all role swap and go up against one another. That could be pretty fun. We'll stick to your natural roles though. We're starting to get towards the end here. BaRRaCCuDDa, I'm stealing this one from Finch. Because I did enjoy it. Who is for you specifically, maybe more lane opponents, favorite or least favorite lane opponents to go up against in the SPL? Doesn't necessarily have to be skill-wise, just matchups that are annoying, matchups that are always fun to watch. Does anyone come to mind?
As far as players go, right?
Yes.
Okay, Zap, definitely favorite person to lane against. It's just fun. It's just a throwback every time. And least favorite is PandaCat because PBM is
he's good.
He is the most annoying person to play against ever because whenever I try to fight PCat, he's always there. And it's probably PCat baiting me. But it's just bro, does he ever leave?
Right.
And it's definitely PCat for most annoying.
Well, you can't back down, right? I mean, he starts throwing some autos at you. I guess we're doing this. I'm going to start to auto-attack you back, see where things go, and then now Geb rolls out of the jungle, and it's all over from there. Venenu, over to you. Any mid-lane matchups that are fun, annoying, whatever it may be? Anything come to mind player-wise?
I probably think the best one is Shinto. I think he's right now the top mid laner, and his farm efficiency is through the roof and everything like that, and there's a lot to learn off of him. So I like facing him. I think that's a good skill test, even though there's 0 1v1s in mid. But I think it's definitely a good test to see where you're at, in my opinion, because I think he's really good at that efficiency. And I think I don't know if I have a worse a person I don't like facing. I think I just think Shinto's on the top right now, and definitely facing him the most. And then I think it's just kind of equal for everybody else.
Right, a lot of fun to watch. LASBRA, rounding out with you. Any jungle matchups that come to mind? Enjoy, don't enjoy?
Don't enjoy. It's not the player itself only, but Ghost, PBM and Sam running around in my jungle taking my stuff. I don't like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that's just the that's a bad experience sometimes.
Seems to be a common thread.
Yeah, and then the most fun, it's definitely against Fred. You know, he's my best friend from real life.
Yep.
We've been growing up together and all that. I haven't won a set against him yet, but I've been taking some games of him when it was best of fives, and I played on I played on LG and against Dignitas, right?
Right.
Last year's second phase. But I mean, this phase, the time has come. Next time we play them, I think that's not the next 2 times, but the 3rd match we have. So that's the last match before we reset the schedule. So I mean, easy dubs, man. Fred, you're going down.
Easy dubs. Yeah, I like it. You know, it's like Bear and Zap. They kind of tip a cap to one another from across the lane. Same for LASBRA and Fred. It's a blast to watch you guys play. All right, final question though. As of filming this, about a third of the way through the second phase. We've already talked about how you think you've done sort of up to this point. Lots of growth to be done, but massive potential, I think, for you guys in this roster. We've seen huge leaps and bounds. Don't have to give a specific placement, but where do you maybe see yourself towards the end of it? BaRRaCCuDDa, I'll start with you.
I would say realistically 3rd or higher.
Mm-hmm.
I think given with our first few performances this set against the top teams, we struggled a lot. I think we're still struggling right now to find kind of our footing in the current meta. I feel like we're really good in scrims when it comes to SPL time. I feel like we struggle a little bit when it comes to decision making and playing as a team. And thankfully, this phase is very long, so I feel like those weaknesses will be ironed out by the end of it. And I feel like realistically, I say 3rd or higher.
Venenu, 3rd or higher. What are your thoughts?
I always shoot for 1st, but I
go.
think with the current thing, I think I can agree with BaRRaCCuDDa, 3rd or higher for sure. We just gotta put in the effort and everything like that.
Run out with you, Laz. Same as the teammates.
I would say, I mean, obviously I'm going for 1st place, right? But realistically, but also us being 1-3, and I mean, there's Ghost, Sanguine. I don't know, like Sanguine. I mean, I think we can beat most of the teams. I would go between with like our standings right now. It's a long phase. I mean, I'd say probably like 4 or 3 is like what I think we're gonna end at. But the goal is obviously 1st place.
Hey, and that goal, excuse me, comes to fruition at Worlds is the sentence I'm trying to say. Yeah, I talk for a living, by the way, and I can't say Worlds. Luckily, Worlds is where that goal comes to fruition. Guys, thanks so much for sitting down with me. This was a blast. Good to pick your brains a little bit, hear how you guys are doing. Best of luck for the rest of the phase. Cannot wait to continue to see the growth and all the fun plays out of the Renegades moving forward. We'll check in with you guys soon, and thanks again.
Thank you.